Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for tuning in with me if you're tuning in live. I'm going to be talking about the Scares That Cares AuthorCon 6 in Williamsburg, Virginia, 2026, which ended about a week ago, 8 days ago. What a great event. If you were there and you have any comments or questions, even if you weren't there, let me know in the comments as we go live. I'll be happy to make this a little more interactive for you. For those of you that missed us live, I know it's about 6 p.m. on the East Coast, so it might work out for you depending where you are. Maybe you catch it on your commute home, or um, maybe you're just desperately scrolling on Facebook looking for something to do. If not, I will be posting this on YouTube and everywhere else so that you can just listen to whatever I had to say. But again, if you are listening, make sure to drop a comment over there so that I know everything's working broadcasting live, because it would be really embarrassing if I did this and didn't record it and didn't have any record of it. But anyway, for those of you that don't know, Scares That Care is a 501c3 charity that raises money for families, the victims and their families of pediatric cancer, breast cancer, and burn victims. So three worthy candidates get a big old check from the charity every year. And the charity goes all year, and you can go to Scares That Care right now and contribute to it right now if you want. In fact, you probably should. But they also have a series of events and fundraisers over the course of the year, of which AuthorCon is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, and one of the longest runnings. So this was the sixth one, and I think I've attended them all. I've attended all of the author cons except for Killer Pride last year. I would like to attend Killer Pride, but it's a gay and queer themed event, and I didn't necessarily feel like I should have a table there. I wasn't quite sure what to do, so I did not attend that one, but I'd like to support it, and I think I'm going to try and give it some more thought and see if maybe I'll just go as an attendee or something the next time that they have one. Maybe that's just the best thing to do is just go as an attendee. Because if I would buy a table and be involved in a bunch of the programming and that sort of thing, I'm not sure. I would feel like I was taking that away from a deserving queer author, and I would rather prop them up. So um, that's way too much about Killer Pride, which I did not attend. But I did attend AuthorCon, and I've attended every AuthorCon, and I've attended quite a few of the old flagship Scares That Cares events. Back when they had those, they were less focused on authors. I mean, they were always focused on authors, but they were also focused on actors and stuntmen and special effects makers in the horror movies and that kind of thing. So I've got a long history with this organization. I was thinking about it at the event. I think I've been doing this for at least 10 years. So that is amazing, to have a whole decade of your life to look back on. It's always my favorite event of the year. It's like coming home to a family. It's like a family reunion. And this year was no different. It was great. Got to see a lot of people that by hook or by crook I only get to see once a year. So let's talk a little bit about it. I also did something I've never done before this year. I did a little more of my part to help support the charity. I took some pitches. So in my capacity as a publisher, so obviously I'm an author. I got some experience under my belt, self-publishing essentially, and then I started to take on some other authors and start publishing them. So I've been kind of trying to take the opportunities, and the first one that I did was at World Fantasy Con in the UK late last year to start taking pitches from people in person. And then this year I proposed that to the organizers of AuthorCon, and they said, would you want this to be a formal part of the programming, and folks can make a donation to the charity in order to go and pitch you? And I said, yeah, of course, I would love to earn a little money for the charity. So that was different, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Maybe I should just go chronologically. That's usually how I do these things, and hopefully it won't take forever. So I went down this year on Thursday, and like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've done a bunch of different events at a bunch of different locations. Um, I have done the like Wednesday to Monday thing and kind of like almost like setting up with the organizers. I mean, not officially because I'm not really affiliated with the charity. But I've done the like Wednesday thing. I've done the like show up last minute on Friday and depart like Sunday night thing to like compact the weekend. And where I kind of come down on things is I think the best thing to do is to show up on Thursday and then leave on Monday, and you get a nice full solid weekend, and you don't have to worry about, and basically 2 built-in travel days, so you have a little bit of hangout time on Thursday, and then a lot of hangout time on Sunday, and then pretty much see nobody on Monday and depart. So I left around noon on Thursday, and this is a very volatile ride. So I'm coming from central Pennsylvania. I've done it in everything from 4 hours flat to 6 hours, if not more. And a lot of it just has to do with what the traffic around Washington, D.C. looks like. So this year was kind of in the middle. It was about 4.5, verging on 5 hours. Um, and I actually did not do my usual stop. So usually I stop at a Wawa about halfway down the way and pick up 2 hoagies for the room for the weekend so that I know that I have a little bit of food in the refrigerator, like no fuss, no muss. Hey, I didn't grab lunch, or it's the middle of the night and I'm starving. Oh, hey, I'll have half a hoagie. And I didn't do that this year. And then, of course, I was like, I wonder if I've cursed myself and failing to, do my normal traditions. I brought bad luck upon myself. Well, the good news is I did not. So, like I said, I arrived around 5 or 6. My writing partner and partner in crime, Wiley Young, was there waiting for me, and we roomed together. And then we met up with a couple of people. Oh, and I'll do the usual thing that I do with these videos. I will name public figures, but try to avoid naming folks that aren't, public figures. So we met up with a couple of people for dinner. Author Craig Brownlee and editor Kyle Liebeck and couple of fans and that kind of thing. So we went to the Whaling Company, which if you've ever been to Williamsburg, Virginia, if you've been to Scares the Care, you've probably been to the Whaling Company because it's well within walking distance of the hotel. And it is shutting down this year. So there was a lot of sadness and rending of garments and that kind of thing for the loss of the Whaling Company. So we got in our last event there. And I remember I was talking to Kyle Liebeck, who has edited a lot of my books. Probably at least half of my books when they go to Thunderstorm for the hardback. And I was like, well, just in the course of conversation, I was like, you guys know Kyle is one of the best editors in the business. And he looked at me and he's like, what, you never told me that. And I was like, I tell you that every time you do one of my books. I tell the publisher and I say, hey, pass on my compliments to Kyle. And he's like, oh, yeah, maybe you did that, but he never passed them on. I was like, well, just so you know, and yeah, this is absolutely a shameless plug for Kyle Liebeck. If you're looking for an editor, I don't know if he has a shingle up or what, but that guy, I will edit the heck out of a novel and have it published a couple of different places and seen in front of 4 or 5 editors sometimes. He still always catches it stuff. and it's not crap. It's like really, really valid. Oh yeah, you should have caught this. And I'm always like, how? How does somebody, how is somebody capable of this? But he's just got that eye. He's just a brilliant editor. And Craig Brownlee's a good friend of ours, Wiley and I. Well, everybody really. He's a very affable guy, and he had a terrible loss earlier this year, and we I wanted to tell him, we're here for you. We know about your loss. We want to do whatever you want. If you want us to not talk about it, we're here to help you have a fun weekend. And if you want to do nothing but talk about it, we can do that too. And I was kind of glad to get some of that really emotional stuff out of the way almost the first night, so that it wouldn't be like hanging over us. And Craig was like, I'm here. I'm still me. You all know about my loss, and I'll tell you something. One of the con organizers came and grabbed me already and had a long talk with me. And that's the way that the Scares That Cares organization is. He said he grabbed me and talked to me for about 2 hours and said, we value you as an author, as an attendee, as a member of the extended Scares That Cares family, and we want you to be safe and comfortable and happy, and whatever you need, we're here for you. And to think somebody that is in the middle of a convention that they've organized, and to take that time out of their day just to make an attendee and a vendor and a friend, feel welcome and feel better, it really, tugs at the heartstrings. But this is the kind of organization that is. So we did not have any programming on Thursday night. So last year we did have some programming, which a lot of you would have attended. It was that live action thing with Bitter Corella, one of Bitter Corella's Midnight Pals. He did a live action version that was me, Wiley Young, Brian Keene, Todd Kiesling, oh, and Laurel Hightower. So we were all actually on stage to say our lines. And that wasn't the entire. There was a whole, I think, 2 hour long program or something, but that was actually an outside organization that came in and did that again to assist the charity. So that wasn't like an expectation that there would be programming. There's no expectation that there will be programming on Thursday nights. Uh, that just so happened to be the case last year. So this year was a little more loose, and people were starting to come in. So I'm getting to see all of my old friends I haven't seen in a year and that kind of thing, and hang out and chat with them. So Friday comes, and we went and had the again traditional. It's a lot of it. This is going to be traditions that I'm going to keep saying. The traditional cheesesteaks at Rick's Cheesesteaks in Williamsburg, Virginia. And I'm from Philly, and well, okay, those of you that are from Philly, I'm from Fort Washington. Those of you that aren't, I'm from Philly. So, but either way, I'm a huge cheesesteak snob. And Rick's steaks are actually really, really, really good. Some of the best you can find outside of the city. So it's not like normally if I'd go to a place like that, a pizza shop or something, I'd just be like, okay, I'm just going to give the steaks a pass. But we specifically go every year, and it's usually Friday morning to have cheesesteaks. And you got to go right at 11, right when they open, because the whole rest of the con will go, at some point between noon and 1 or so. So we snuck in there, got our steaks, and snuck out. And as we're sneaking out, right around 11:45 or so, everybody's coming in with their Scares That Cares T-shirts, and we're like, okay, we beat the rush. Good on us. Headed back to the hotel, and opening ceremonies kicked off around 4. And I was very touched by the Crystal Award winner. So the Crystal Award winner goes to the person that best I think it's like they best embody the charity over the course of the year. And the Crystal Award winner this year was a vendor who takes a hat around. She doesn't just vend at Scares the Cares, and she takes a hat around to every convention she does, and then she doubles whatever she collects over the course of the year out of her own pocket. So she does match donations and supports the charity all year. So a lot of people think the charity is just the convention. It's not. It's a charity first, convention second, if not third, fourth, fifth, whatever. So that was very cool. And then I was very, very happy as soon as they started to announce the winner of the Wilburn Thomas Award, which is named after my old friends who've sadly passed away, Jay Wilburn and Dave Thomas. I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, this had better go to Candace Nola this year. And that sounds like bullshit, and it's the sort of thing you would say in a YouTube Live or Facebook Live, but it was absolutely going through my mind. And a couple of the other people I talked to were like, "Oh yeah," we were all sitting around going like, "It's got to be Candace, right?" And then of course it was Candace, and I think as soon as probably the MC said the word she, we were all like, "Oh yeah, yeah, it's Candace." So Candace was very emotional. And if you don't know Candace Nola, the Uncomfortably Dark One herself, I've actually published her in The Perfectly Fine Neighborhood. And she runs her own publishing company. I think she spends 18 hours a day publishing, editing, marketing, supporting other authors. It's not all about her. So well deserved. And then we went to open the vendor's room. So I'm not going to mince words about it. It's been a year, but last year was fucking awful. Sales were awful. Attendance was awful. I don't think you'll find anyone that vended last year that was like, oh, yeah, yeah, no, I did great. I think I sold less than half of what I usually do. I felt downright embarrassed for the author that I was, hosting at my table. I asked him to fly out for this, and I was like, "Oh, don't worry, you'll sell out the wazoo," and it was terrible. And my personal opinion, Kosnewski only. Again, I have nothing to do with the charity. This is all really just my opinion. Um, but my opinion is it was economics. It was Trump being elected. I didn't hear a single accent last year, so I don't think any foreign fans wanted to fly in. Um, so that right off the top, cuts a huge amount of your fan base off. And so I think everybody was scared to attend. I think that's what it was just in general, was a lot of anxiety to attend. Like, do I have the money? Can I afford to? Just tons of anxiety. And I was like, well, here we are, another year into the second Trump administration. I expect it will be just as bad. Something happened, maybe the anxiety loosened, we bounced back. It was really very much like previous AuthorCons again. In terms of sales, I think I was at like 85% of, my sales in prior to 2025. And I think it might even have been higher. I think I might have had a banner year had I been at the table the whole time and not taking pitches, which I was happy to do. I wanted to do that both for my company and to support the charity. But at the end of the day, that means I was away from the table for three hours plus programming, so maybe 5 hours out of the weekend. And I suspect if I had been at the table for those 5 hours the rest of the weekend, I might well have sold more than my usual target. So something was cool, something was in the air, something was electric, and we were selling again. And the way that I really knew things were happening, I went to go take my first couple of pitches that night, and I came back, and all I did was I put up a sign, like I always do when I'm sitting next to Wes Southard. If I'm sitting next to somebody I'm very, very comfortable with, like Wes Southard or Wiley Young or somebody like that, I'll just put up a sign that says, if you want one of my books, Wes or Wiley will sell it to you. And they never do, because you want the signature, you want the experience of talking to an author in real life and that kind of thing. I came back from my first pitch on Friday night. I'd sold 4 books in absentia. Wiley was like, "Yep, they just came and they just really wanted your books and they walked off with them." And I was like, "Wow, that's amazing." So that to me was like, okay, we're back. We're bouncing back. Whatever the weird anxiety about last year was, and I might be completely wrong. Maybe it was something else. Maybe something else happened last year, but I think a lot of people will agree that whatever it was, the sales were off last year, and this year they came roaring back. So, like I said, I went to take my first 2 pitches that night. So I'll just kind of talk about my pitches right now. First of all, if any of you are watching this that pitched me over the weekend, good job, everybody, almost universally. Yeah, there was a little bit of a obviously there was a little bit of a spectrum. There was 9 of you, or maybe it was 10 of you. I think actually it was supposed to be 9, but a 10th one got slipped in there, which is that's good because that's another person for me to hear from and another donation for the charity. So all of you did great. I wanted to give all of you. So I was supposed to give you a 15-minute pitch session, and what I really tried to do was I had half-hour slots, so I could have like taken a break and had a cup of coffee and had a cigarette, go to the bathroom, whatever. But what I really wanted to do was take that remaining 15 minutes and give you guys an opportunity to pick my brain. And a few of you said, "How was my pitch?" And I was like, "I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you're cognizant enough to ask. Let me tell you how you could have improved this." And some of you, I was just like, "Here's how publishing works in general. Here's how I like to work publishing. Do you have questions about what I do versus what others do?" So I really wanted to kind of, uh, since you were donating to the charity, I felt you deserved more of my time and attention and whatever I could give you. So you all did very, very well, but I wanted to point something out. So this year there was a women's writers symposium that I think ran from Tuesday to Thursday or something. So in fact, that may have been what I was talking about before, why we didn't have programming on Thursday night. Sometimes they often plan things, prior to the con. Things like writing symposiums, or last year some programming. Um, and after a couple of you pitched, I caught on that you either you said it or I asked that you had attended the women's symposium. And those were the sharpest, cleanest pitches. So again, it's a spectrum, but on the really, really, really positive end of the spectrum, I noticed it was all the folks that attended the women's symposium. So my kudos, and I told her this. This is not just going out live on the air right now, but my kudos to Mary San Giovanni and Gemma Moore and all the folks that ran the women's symposium. You did right by your young authors. They were all really prepared to come see me and were wanting for very little on that business end. So I can tell there must have been some classwork about pitching advances. They knew about advances. They knew bits and pieces about the business that I wouldn't normally expect a brand new baby author to know. So I'm very, very impressed. And I think they're doing it again. I certainly hope they're doing it again because, from my very diminished perspective, I think it was a very, very valuable experience, at least for the women that pitched me. So I think that's what I'll say about the pitches for now. Much more than that would be, perhaps a violation of privacy. But uh, yeah, I think there were 10 pitches, and there's a lot of manuscripts that I'm looking forward to having a look at. Um, so Friday night. Oh yes, Friday night was back to programming. So we had, and we've never done this before. We had an improv presentation. So we pretty much had to, and remember what I said before about the hoagies? Uh, I cut out this part. So Friday, but I brought it up, so let me finish out that story. So Friday morning, Wiley and a few fans are out having lunch, and Wiley's like, "I need some cash for to make change for the vendors table." And I said, "Well, there's an ATM at the hotel. It's going to charge you an arm and a leg." I'm like, "If we can find a Wawa, those are usually surcharge free. I don't know. I mean, maybe if you have a bank branch down here or something, but I don't know where you bank." And we're pulling the car out of the parking lot, and there's a Wawa right on the right. And I was like, let's go there. You'll get your surcharge free change, and I will get those hoagies that I forgot to get on my way down that I was worried would cause me bad luck. So, come to Friday night, the vendor's room shut down at 9, and then our improv thing was at 10. So not really enough time to get something to eat. I'm like, oh, perfect. Good thing I got the hoagie. And that's why I do that. So I have it for, I need food like on the spot. And I know like John Wayne Comunale always has like ramen and power bars and stuff. So better road dogs than me have figured out better, systems. But that's my system anyway. So I go and have my half a hoagie, and then we run back in to the auditorium for this improv thing. And so I think there were eight or 10 of us. Well, so on the one team it was me, Wiley, Shane McKenzie, and Mary San Giovanni. And the other team was Wrath James White, Clay McLeod Chapman, Nat, what's his name? Oh, I'm sorry, Nat. He's very famous, but I can't think of his name. And and Bitter Corella. So I guess it was 8 of us, and all 8 of us were sitting in the green room, and we had talked, prior. Nat Cassidy, that's his name. I'm sorry, Nat Cassidy. Um, so all 8 of us were sitting in the green room prior, and we're like, "What are we doing? Does anybody know what we're doing?" No, we have no idea. So we don't know if we're running a improv. We don't know if we're just participating. We have no idea. But then we all walk out on stage, and so Joe Ripple, who's the organizer of the convention, um, is like, here's a question, and then Team A, you can improv on it for a minute, and then Team B, you can improv on it for a minute, and then if you want, there's a rebuttal. So we're going back and forth like this, and I'm glad there was a little bit of structure, and we all, shook out our nerves and got them out. And then after the question and answer session, we were supposed to put together like a play, like line by line. Each of us was supposed to put together a play. So I know recounting improv, you're gonna lose the whole experience. So I won't try to recount it. But I think the audience that was there enjoyed it. It was definitely different, and I also have to give props to the organizers for always trying different things. So I do a lot of conventions a year. Like I said, I've been doing this since 2013, and everybody gets into a rut. There are program, there are some conventions I get invited to, and I'm like, I know exactly what the programming is going to be from soup to nuts, just by receiving my invitation. And a couple years ago, AuthorCon did the Carnival of Chaos. And last year they did the whole the Bitter Corella Midnight Pals thing. So I really got to hand it to them for always changing things up. So that was very cool. Um, then again, Friday night. Oh, I think we did some karaoke on Friday night, which may or may not exist online. I assume not. I assume nobody took any videos of me and posted them. But I So, I love karaoke, if you don't know. I love being on stage. I love entertaining any way that I can. It's one of my favorite things in the world, and karaoke was what got me through a lot of my time in Oklahoma when I was in the Army. Every Saturday and sometimes Fridays, we'd go down to the karaoke bar, some of my lieutenant friends and I, and we'd sing. So I don't feel as beholden to sing all night when we do karaoke, as they call it, at AuthorCon. But I do like to get in a song or two if I notice it. And so this year, we all went down to the bar, and I could hear something that sounded like karaoke, but I didn't see it. Where normally the bar is filled with the sound, the beautiful warbling of Neil Diamond or whoever. And I was so confused for a while. I was sitting there with my friends, and then I'm like, is there karaoke? It sounds like it might be out in the hallway or something, but that doesn't make any sense. And they're like, yeah, what they did was they opened the one door of the bar out into the hallway, and then you do kind of do the karaoke in the hallway there. But then it's like it's not filling up the entire bar with the music. So folks on this side can just enjoy conversation, and folks on this side can enjoy the karaoke. So I went, and they were keeping it real down. And then I went and I sang one or two songs, a couple of my old staples, Maggie May and stuff like that. And then I sang Baba O'Reilly by The Who. And the entire, shoot me if I'm exaggerating, but I guess all of my friends must have decided to, either play a trick on me or they heard me and were like, oh, that must be Kazanowski. And the entire bar got up and came over and was listening to me sing. And I was like, what happened? Where were you all? The rest of you, I've been singing to an empty bar. And then I handed the microphone over to Brian Keene, who didn't want to wait to put his name into karaoke, but they started to play what is it? Freebird by Leonard Skinner. Just like the interstitial music between the songs. And he was just like, oh, I'll just sing this. Don't worry, I don't need the words. And just starts singing. So the karaoke got a little bummed from that. Laura J. Hickman, I'm bummed I couldn't make it this year. I'll be back next year. Okay, Laura, you were missed. Sorry we didn't see you there. Um, so yeah, that was Friday night. Saturday's the big long vending day. So that's what 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. or something like that. So did all the vending. Like I said, the vending was kind of back on track this year, and did a couple more pitches on Saturday. And like I already talked about the pitches, so I'm not going to keep belaboring that point. But I did, however, have a reading with Jonathan Gensler. Now, Jonathan Gensler and I are very friendly. We've been friends for a couple years. I think we've probably been on a few panels together, but I don't think I've ever done a reading with him. And I'll be frank, they usually give me an excellent reading partner. Like last year I had Bitter Corella. Past years I've had Jeff Strand and I think like I was talking about before. I love entertaining. I leave it all out on the floor. So it's kind of embarrassing, and because this happens to me at other conventions, it's kind of embarrassing when you have someone get up and they're like, I'm gonna read my book now, and so have I done it. And then I come up and leave it all out on the floor. Like that's doing a disservice to my reading partner and to me both. You don't want to do that. You want to, and the organizers of Scares the Care, you can tell they put a lot of thought. And considering there's, I don't know, 200 authors there or something, and they probably all want a reading, you can tell the level of thought that they put in. Like sometimes it's co-writers, like it's me and Wiley Young sometimes. Sometimes it's people that write in the same genre or that are at the same level of presentation. So Jonathan Gensler, I'm like, I like him. He's a really nice guy. He's always been very friendly and kind to me. We often chat at these events, and he's very, very cool. But why did they give me a reading with him? And then he read, and I was amazed. That dude can perform. And in Russian. So the story was set in Ukraine, and I know he speaks Russian and German because we've talked about it before. Because I speak German and like two words. I'll put it this way. I can read Cyrillic. Like I barely speak any Russian. I speak German pretty well. I speak a little bit of French. So I knew that he spoke Russian, and the whole story was in a Russian accent. Which, let me tell you, if you've never done that in public, which I did a few years ago, I did an entire story in a French Jacques Cousteau accent, and I was like, oh, why? Why did I decide to do this? So he did the entire story in a Ukrainian accent, and smidgens of it were in Russian and Ukrainian, and of course he's pronouncing it correctly. But more than that, the whole presentation was beautiful and on set, and I'll be your Huckleberry anytime, Gensler. So again, good choice from the programmers. Any old time I can read with Jonathan Gensler, I will be delighted to. So that was definitely a pleasant surprise. Um, and then yeah, so already talked about the pitches, talked about the reading. Sold all day, sold really well. Again, sold a bunch of stuff in absentia. Oh, and if I didn't mention it, this was my con exclusive this year, was the Hematophages Splatterings. So this is a few short stories in the Hematophages universe, including one that's never been published anywhere before. I was trying to throw something together real quick because Scares the Care AuthorCon was so early this year. Around December, I was like, I'll throw three fucking short stories into between two covers, and that'll be good enough. And I was like, nah, I gotta do right by my fans. I gotta do 10,000 words of story notes and and write a fresh story for them and everything. And that cover, by the way, is by Don Noble. Well, it's not by Don Noble. It's by Rooster Republic Press, which Don Noble owns half of. And if you guys can, make sure to support Don Noble and Rooster Republic this year. He had a very bad accident as well. So that's why I went to support Don's company and got that cover. So make sure that you do as well. Um, so we went for Mexican. So that was fun. That was me, Wiley Young, uh, and John Baltusberger, and I think Craig Brownlee and a couple of other people, again, fans and not public figures. So uh, I don't. Yeah, I think this was the first time that Baltusberger has ever been to AuthorCon. Now, I've met him and I've hung out with him a couple of times at KillerCon in Austin. Although I think he's actually from Washington State, or Washington or Oregon or something. So, I mean, I guess that's less of a flight, but it would have been a flight either way. So I'm not sure why he's never come to Williamsburg, but this was the first time he came out. And we were really simpatico. And when I was talking about the pitches, I didn't realize how aligned we were as publishers, and we see very eye to eye because we're both very author-centric publishers. We're both very, you know, left-leaning and anti-fascist in our, politics and that kind of thing. So we were really bonding that night and the rest of the con actually. Oh yeah, here's a Baltusberger book that I picked up while I was there as well. Um, so we had dinner, and then I had the next couple of hours to pace around and fuss and worry like I always do about the gross out contest. Now, this is the second year that Wiley and I have hosted the gross out contest, and I know that it probably looks improvised by and large. It is not. We both put a ton of preparatory work into it to make it look so off the cuff. So I've been working on this for months. Wiley and I have been working on this for months, putting together, the schedule, the jokes, the plans. But no matter what it is, whenever you get up in front of an audience like that, and it's the premier event of Scares That Cares. It's the prime time Saturday night premier event that everybody attends, who basically everybody at the con attends. And I know you can argue, well, some people don't like to go to a gross out contest. I'm like, yeah, sure, but it's still like the prime event that is happening at that time frame. So it's a crowd of hundreds, and I'm used to performing, like me and Jonathan read in front of a crowd of three, and and you can't really compare it to like karaoke where you kind of have a captive audience. These people came out to see you and to be entertained by you and the people that you pull on stage, and it's got to be good. So it's very, very stressful for me every year, but I think it went well. Now, I can't say a whole lot more about that because the main rule of Gross Out is that what happens at Gross Out stays at Gross Out. And we want it to be that way, and we want it to be a place where people can let their hair down, and by people I mean splatterpunks and extreme horror authors. So I like that idea that this is something that's of a time and of a place and can never be recaptured. It's a lot like a lost poem in the couch, or a lost, little event that you can never recapture even if you wanted to. Um, and that's one of the beauties of it. But it went very well this year. I will congratulate Oscar Brady on taking home the top prize, and I don't think I can recall. Well, let's just congratulate Oscar Brady. But I would actually like, and I should probably ask them this. Oh, there's Oscar Brady watching, waiting for his mention. I would probably like to ask the winners if they still have their trophies, because I haven't seen anybody. I'm a little bit upset about that. I put a lot of time and effort into crafting beautiful, beautiful trophies for the winners, and I have seen nobody post them. And I'm like, look, you took that away from the contest. I know what happens at the contest stays in the contest, but you can post your trophies. You can say, here's this amazing, beautiful thing that Kazanowski spent 6 months of his life working on. He says I ate mine. Okay. You didn't get any photos before that? That is gross. If true, that is gross. So therefore, that should probably be your story next year, Oscar. Is eating those gross things that I gave you. Okay. So, gross out contest. I think it went very well. I think we did receive a number of compliments about it. So, no complaints so far. So maybe we're doing well. Um, so of course Saturday night's the night you go all out partying, hanging out with your friends. Um, got up on Sunday, and that one's a little bit shorter. So Sunday night's kind of like, or Sunday morning is kind of like Friday night. It's 10 a.m. to 3 in the vendor's room. Sales were pretty good, and then I had a bunch more pitches, and that was the day when I had like 4 pitches, and I was only supposed to have 3 or something. But as long as the 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 charity got the money, I'm fine with that. So if any of my pitchees or pitchers or whatever are watching, I just want to make sure that you all did pay the charity the appropriate donation. But other than that, I don't care. I'll take pitches all day, all night, whatever. And I'm sure next year they're going to hold me to that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that live on the air there here, because next year they'll probably hold me to that. Um, and we also did a panel on grimdark, weird westerns, and military horror. Oh, pardon me. So if that sounds like a very odd jumble, that was what the panel was about. It was actually about jumbling your genres together. So that was moderated by Robert Whitmore, and then Daniel Volpe, me, Gensler, and Andrew Nyberg were on that panel. And that was very cool, and that was pretty well attended. So we talked a lot about, yeah, mainly the main ones, grimdark, splatterpunk, weird westerns, that kind of thing. Um, so that was pretty interesting. And then we were at the end. Robert Whitmore asked us to task our neighbor with what mashup that we would have to do for next year. So they were all real cute, but I'm a professional. I've been doing this for years, so I tasked Gensler with doing a Amish BDSM. So and he was like, "Oh, I'll do it. You think you challenged me and I can't do it? I'm gonna do it." All right, Gensler. Let's see it. Gauntlet laid down and Gauntlet picked up apparently. So I guess next year you're gonna have your Amish BDSM to show us. Um, Everything closes up. The con ends. Wah wah wah. Everybody's very sad. Uh, People start to wander off, and then you get to Sunday night. And I know I talk about this whenever I do this. Sunday night's probably the best night of the con. That's the weirdest night. That's when you're hanging out with whoever's left. The rest of the time you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, and you're like, am I hanging out with enough people? Am I hanging out with enough different people? Am I networking enough? You're my friend and I haven't seen you in a year. And then Sunday night it's like everybody's gone, and you end up with the weirdest of bedfellows. And of course we got to thinking about Kit Power, who couldn't make it this year. Um, and I think that there may also be video of that somewhere online. I don't know. I have no idea. Um, but yeah, I got to hang out with Baltusberger and talk about being a publisher, and that guy really gets it. It was very cool. And yeah, Sunday night is a fun day night. It's just a great time. So, barring any questions, and I see that about, whew, boy, the viewer count is through the roof on this one. So, if none of you guys have any last questions, thanks for joining me. And like I said, um, if you missed this live, this is probably going to be posted to YouTube and Facebook and a couple other places. And if you have any questions that you want me to answer after the fact, you can pop those in the comments too. I'll keep an eye on that. Oh, speaking of, Kit Power says, "Ah, man, I missed you guys so much. Even though you're all lightweights. Oh, we're the lightweights. We're the lightweights. See, now I'm going to have to go to British Fantasy Con in, what is it, Gloucester, Scotland this year, and school Kit Power yet again, as I do every time that I see him, on, the Transatlantic Lightweight Championship. But yes, you were a miss, Kit, and I know it sounds like bullshit, but a lot of people were asking for you. And I think that was the first time you've attended an AuthorCon, so you made quite an impression. Because a lot of people were asking for you. And I know part of that was because I was handing out Millionaire's Day cards and stuff, but a lot of people were also just like, where's the British guy? Why didn't he come this year? I'm like, I don't know. He said he didn't like you guys, or he doesn't care about the charity or something. I don't know. I'm sure he has his reasons. Um, but I think I was just wrapping up. But thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for attending. Again, if you hop over to the Scares of Care website, you can make donations anytime. You don't have to wait until next year, but I am eagerly waiting next year. And I think there will probably also be an autumn event. I will have to double check on that. But again, always looking forward to seeing my Scares of Care family. And thanks for tuning in with me during your commute home or whenever you're watching this. I hope you got something out of it. Uh, Primarily, I hope you got FOMO if you didn't go, and make sure you go next year, as Laura J. Hickman did. And for the rest of you, I hope you got to reminisce over some fond memories. I know every con is like 1,000,000,000,000,000 intersecting strings, and all I can tell you about is my string. So hey, tell everybody else about your string. Get on your blog, get on your YouTube, your Facebook, or whatever, and talk about how your Scares of Care was. Oh, but I will close this out by saying Sunday night, Sunday night is Fun Day night. The organizer, Joe Ripple, swung by our table and had an impromptu after session just with the folks that were there. I was like, how was everything? Did you guys enjoy it? What can I improve upon? What would you like to be better for next year? Uh, Between that and all the other stuff I talked about, this really is a special event. This really is a special organization. Um, if you think that I've been to a lot of conventions where the CEO is stopping by and asking and putting up with my bullshit, and I gave him bullshit, and Joe, it was well deserved. But if you think that happens at a lot of events, it doesn't. So they really care. They care about the vendors as much as they care about the attendees, as much as they care about the guests, and almost as much as they care about the beneficiaries of the charity. So that's Scares of Cares AuthorCon 6. Hope to see you at the next one. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.